just want to go through a couple logistics. I'll welcome up our first presenter. We'll go in this order. Guests, if you guys can see your faces through the glass there, but we'll have Zach, then Carrie, and Elizabeth in that order. But once the presenters are done and the inductee, you guys will come up after your presenter welcomes you. And then the next presenter up, just come up and follow them up after the inductee is done. So we don't have to kind of keep juggling up here before that. So it's a little bit of a seamless transition on that end. But this is one of my favorite events, primarily just to hear your guys' hearts for your time here at Liberty and as student athletes. But most importantly, and the Tillies and I were talking about it briefly before, but the perspective that you guys have now, looking back on it, hindsight's always 20/20, but to see the value that was instilled upon you guys as student athletes here is really what was important in your time at Liberty as student athletes. And as a coach, I love this time too, because we're always, there's some coaches in here, but you're always preaching like, if a guy is not on the power play, or this girl's not getting this much time playing, or et cetera, you're trying to instill a greater purpose and vision for it that I think you guys now see. That's probably hard to see in the time of the present. So I think hearing your perspectives and your heart's awesome. I haven't once, no pressure, but very few times do the inductees come up and talk about how good they were. They talk about, hey Zach, all right, so quiet, all right. They talk about their times, and so it's fun to hear you guys' heart. So that's why this is one of our favorite events, just to hear you guys. So without further ado, I'll welcome up Dave Simonian to the podium.
All right. I wrote this on my phone because I don't have a printer in my house. So you have to excuse me, but I'm not texting, I promise. All right. So as a leader, Zach was a teammate, and he was a great friend of mine. I got to coach him and I got to play with him. So I pulled him out of retirement for half the season. So during that time, we actually had a line brawl, and Zach started it, and one of our players who didn't play so much got the blame for it. He was not too happy about it, but Zach ended up scoring the game winner that game. So we had to make a coach decision that probably wasn't right, but it did pay off. Zach, as a captain, he set the standards so high to everyone that was on the ice with him. He made everyone compete, and he pushed the best out of everyone. As a player, he was dedicated. He always showed up to compete. He always showed up to the trainers early, and he had to stay late a lot of times because he was injured because of the way he played. When we would have practices that were optional, we'd have fun times, and they were optional skates, so we play some 3-on-3, have fun. And whenever Zach would show up, it would be a different feel. I remember once I shot, and then all of a sudden I was on the ground, like, what happened? And Zach had hit me, and I was like, what's going on? Like, this is not a contact. But you could expect that from Zach every time that he was going to play, like, you were going to get his best. I talked to some old teammates of Zach's. They share some stories that will not get told today. I can share a few that we can share, or I can share some of them. A lot of what everyone that I talked to said, it was like Zach just had no chill. Just kind of like what I mentioned earlier, he was always competing, always hard-nosed, always expecting more. That's what everyone said about him. So this not only translates into his future now, like as a husband, as his career is growing, Zach just always is willing to do so much for whatever he puts his mind to. In fact, right now, if you guys want 60% off at Shutterfly, enter the code ZachMom27, you get 25% off the check. So Zach is a player. I'll give you some numbers. So if there's any stat guys out there, Zach loves his excels. He played 134 games. He had 82 goals, 84 assists for 166 points. So he had over a point a game. But he also had 532 penalty minutes. He does hold the record, which is great. So he averaged about 4 minutes of penalties a game. So in 8,040 minutes, Zach had 532 penalty minutes. 15% of the time that he was on the ice, he was going to get a penalty. So the one good thing though, when Zach got a penalty, you didn't mind killing it for him because you know the person who he inflicted the pain on, you know, he felt a lot worse than another funny story, we were at Nationals and things were going well. We were up on, I forget what team it was, but they weren't very good. We were up on, and Zach, the guy who never gets tired, he came to the bench and we had to pull him over the bench. We're like, what's going on? And they started throwing up. This isn't right. Zach must be sick. Well, sure enough, a few minutes later, there were fans in the stands that were throwing up. And after the game, people were throwing up. And come to find out, there was carbon monoxide poisoning in the rink. So that night, we all got to spend it in the hospital together with oxygen and wondering what happened. The good news about that is Zach gave me some good advice, not to talk to the insurance company and tell them anything. In holding out, it helped me pay for a semester of school. So. Another thing about Zach is how hard he would hit. And again, it's hard for me to explain this, but one story is I think we were playing Davenport, and he was forechecking, and 4 defensemen picked the puck up, and he hit him so hard that he broke the metal latch to a door. And at that time, there wasn't very many rink workers in there. How are we going to get this door fixed now? But luckily, Dr. Rasty McGibbon was there to figure out a way to close the door so we could actually finish the game. So, yeah, that was one time where Zach really showed how hard he could hit. I also got to spend a lot of time with Zach. I lived with Zach for a year in his house. I did renovations with Zach. I lived with him in Ontario one summer and we worked together. So I got to spend a lot of time with him. And it really, I know him more of him as just a human being, how good of a human being he is. He was in my wedding. I was in his pre-wedding and his actual wedding. So I got to go to the courthouse with him and his wife. Make sure things were official. So, for all us Canadians here, we know the reason behind it. But yeah, so I got to spend a lot of time with Zach and just meet him as a good person. There isn't a better human that deserves this than Zach. But the real reason why I'm glad he's here is because if anyone has a job for a high-paying guy who wants a finance guy, Zach's your guy. He will kill an Excel sheet. I'm trying to get him to move to Lynchburg so I can see him. But yeah, so that was Zach as a player and a human. So congratulations, Zach.
I'm gonna go notes on my phone too. Dave, thank you. For those of you who don't know, Dave and I are probably still one of my best friends now, and we actually, a few of us, have a monthly FaceTime. I guess FaceTime, it's Teams, I think, but Dave set it up. He's one of the best people I know at staying in touch and keeping connections. So I'm extremely honored to be here today. And super excited to be back too. It's been about 5 years since I've been back. My wife Melissa, it's been close to 10, sitting with my parents. This place has transformed tremendously, but I always remember how much I loved it here and just how beautiful it is in this part of the country. Just thank you all for being here today as well. Ben and Kayla, who were helping me just with logistics, get set up here. Thank you guys, and just for setting all this up. I'm sure there's a number of other people behind it as well. And also big congrats to Carrie and Elizabeth today as well. And I just wanted to say thank you to Melissa, my beautiful wife, and Brooks and Blake, who are over there too, my two kids. We've got a third one on the way. You guys are just a huge blessing to me every day that I just can't describe in words how much it means to me, the love and support you guys give me every day. And I'm really excited to show Blake and Brooks around the campus. Like I've said, it's changed quite a bit, and it's pretty hard to believe that it's been almost 17 years since I stepped on campus as a freshman. And it really, I mean, Kirk, Jeff, like, you guys are getting kind of old. But seriously, we're all getting up there a little bit. It blew me away this past March when Dave actually hit the big 4-0. So it was kind of mind-blowing to me that it's been that long. It feels like yesterday. A number of the stories Dave mentioned, a number more that I won't mention. Had a lot of fun. But my parents are here today too. It's their 44th wedding anniversary today. They made everything possible for me to be here today, for sure. So just thank you guys so much for the countless hours and hours working to support Mac and I. Mac played here as well, for those of you who don't know, it's my brother. Driving us around the country, building ice rinks at home, indoors, for us to play ball, hockey, etc. That was all a lot of time and effort, but truly the work ethic, the faith, etc. that you instilled in me made me who I am today and gave me the opportunity to come to this great school and play here. So thank you both tremendously. And Dave, I wouldn't be here without you either. We have been through a lot together. Dave mentioned a number of the good stories we've been through. There's a lot of others that I can't talk about, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't have enough time, but I really just don't have time to get into the time that you almost killed me on the golf cart. I can't get into that here. I don't really want to tell everybody about all the computer screens you almost smashed in the C-Lab freshman year. Those Minesweeper games were really tough. And I definitely won't talk about empty pools or the numerous truck stops we went to on 15-hour road trips where at any given moment you could walk into the restroom and see a full moon. Dave and Corey, for those of you who know him, were always keeping us on our toes and keeping us laughing and keeping things light. Dave, you were the perfect complement to me as a friend, as a leader on the ice, and just playing. You led more than I probably ever let on that I let you know. You always kept it light. Like you said, I'm kind of full throttle all the time, and you're kind of keeping it light, keeping everybody included, making me laugh all the time. Was a huge piece of my development as a leader and as a human as well. So thank you. And I mentioned Dave has an uncanny ability to connect people. And so just to see that here as we've grown like 17 years later has been pretty amazing. Kirk, Jeff, thank you guys both for all that you did while I was here. Both from coaching, but I think I mentioned a few of us have a monthly call, and I think when I was reflecting back on that this week, it's me, Dave, Benny, three of the guys who I think have now been inducted, and Kyle Dodson was one of the others. 2 weeks ago, maybe, all of us and a couple other guys were on a call together. And just reflecting back to that, Ben, like you mentioned, you reflect back on the relationships that you build. You think about 17 years since I've, kind of stepped on campus. And there's a lot that's happened in 17 years, but the amount of stuff you fit in a 4-year time period here, and the relationships you build, I think speaks to the environment you guys have created here for teams to thrive. It's pretty evident in terms of the overall club sports program and growth, how much you guys have put into it, along with a number of others I know, but tremendously appreciate the leadership you guys showed and the lessons you taught me along the way. So before I get too long in the tooth, I know there's a number of other people that I could thank just for setting this up today. But I know Kyle McQuillan's back there too. I haven't seen him for a number of years, but he and I work together in the club sports department. There's, I think, a number of people, Pat, Derek, a number of you who I worked with around at the time, but just to see this program expand, both hockey, I wasn't able to watch it, but I was following the game a few weeks ago, and just to see how well the team's competing, but the overall program, the women's team winning again 5 years in a row is pretty awesome. And Ben was just telling me just about how, you know, the concession stand, which is something I was involved in early on when I was working here, has expanded so much. It's amazing. It's amazing to see what God's done with this place, and just thank you to everybody who's been involved. There's a number of other people who, like Darlene Martin, who's not here, but who was, as Dave mentioned, was always trying to keep me healthy and on the ice. There was a group of girls who took a plunge in playing women's D2 when we kicked that off a number of years ago, and that was a lot of fun and good learning experience as well. So anyway, I am incredibly honored. There's a lot of people that I'm sure I've missed in thanking, but it's an incredible honor to be here and to receive this award. It means a whole lot to me, more than I can express in words. You know, thank you.
I'm going to also bring my phone up here. Not because I can use it, but if someone calls, I'll know who it is. Born in the wrong generation. I was probably about 37 when I had my first cell phone. It's pretty amazing. Back in the beginning, sounds like I'm going to preach. Rena came to me and just wanted to know if it was going to be possible if we could ever have a girls' team. And I said, sure, how are we going to do this? And the new arena was in process of being built, and we were supposed to start the girls program, whatever it was going to look like. We were supposed to start in September. As a result, the ice wasn't ready, so I said, well, let's just start the women's program, because I'd already coached the guys, and practices were like 10 o'clock at night, and it was always a countdown to see how many people got speeding tickets on 460 over those days. So I said, well, let's just start the girls program when the arena gets built. And so we made up signs and put them all in the dorms, and had our first practice. And it was the scariest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Girls showed up with figure skates. Some of them had never had a hockey stick. So I gave Rena the tough job. I said, you need to take these girls and help them get some equipment. You might want to show them how to put it on. And so we started. And I don't know how many of you have ever had the opportunity to start something like that, but it's a killer, because it's really hard to recruit when you bring the girls to campus for CFAW, and you've got a couple girls playing hockey with figure skates on. It's really hard to sell the program. So the first 4 or 5 years was pretty tough go, and then we finally started getting some girls in, and I had found a girl that lived in farm country, Alberta, and so I called her one night because I thought that she might be interested in coming to Liberty, and her dad said, oh, no, you can't talk to her tonight, she's in Europe playing. I was going to say, wow, I get to recruit a girl that's actually played hockey in Europe? And so I finally called her mom in Europe, and she said, well, there's another girl here that I think you might be interested in seeing. So over the next month or two, I finally found the Jicklings, and Dave's a farmer, and I grew up on a farm, so we had some things in common. And I made a mistake when Dave came for CFAW with Carrie. I told him, I said, you can ask any question you want. First day is pretty quiet. And then it got really, really noisy, and I wanted to rescind my offer. No more questions. But Carrie came in 2012. It seems like forever ago. I went to correct her one day for something. Can't even remember what it was now. And she said something about butter my buns. And I thought, well, that's a really strange response. But as I got to know her, I found out that she's got that kind of sense of humor that we got to enjoy and got to know. A couple of stories. We won 2 national championships with Carrie, but what a lot of people don't know is there was about 4 years before that we made it to the final game and got choked in the final game. I remember one year, we had gone the whole year, hadn't lost a game. And I don't think anybody was overconfident or anything, but it was kind of like, okay, let's just finish the job. And we lost that game by a goal. Another time we were in the final games, and flu hit our team. And we never had much of a budget, so it was always a struggle. But whenever we couldn't spare bodies, so if someone came down with the flu, we always went and got them a room and locked them in there, told them to stay there. But everybody in the team seemed to be coming down with this flu, and a couple girls, they just couldn't play. And Carrie said, I got the flu, but I'm going to play. So the first game, every time she came off the ice, I could tell when the helmet started coming off, I better start getting the bucket somewhere where she was going to come off the ice. And by the third game, poor old body just giving out. She couldn't do it. And that was the kind of player that Carrie was. We never had much of a budget, so as a result, sometimes the hotels we stayed in were a little bit scary. And I remember one time I got the girls in the room and I thought, maybe I should just back the van up to the door. And then I thought if the place caught fire, the girls couldn't get out. But it was pretty dicey. And we were in another hotel, and it was built in stages, so there was this nasty part, a little bit better part, and for some reason they got the coaches, so the 3 of us were in one room in one part of the hotel. About 2 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarm went off, and everybody was out. Then there's all kinds of attire. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm running around the parking lot trying to make sure who am I missing, where are my girls. And I finally, by the time the fire trucks got there, I was like, okay, I had everybody rounded up, but I couldn't find Carrie. It's like, okay, who's staying with Carrie? Well, I found the girls that were staying with Carrie, and they said, I don't know, she was in the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, something's happened to her. And about that time, she came out on the balcony, and she had her hair in a turban. And I said, Carrie, what are you doing? She goes, well, there's nobody else there, so I thought that's a good time to have a shower. Wow. It was really good last year. We went down to Florida when she was presented the ACJ Hall of Fame. And first female, that's pretty cool. And someone said to me, how could you sum up Carrie's playtime? And had to think about that. There was many things. Hard worker. Out of all the players over all the years, sorry, getting a little emotional here. I don't think any player that I ever had my back. Sorry. So when she finally graduated, it was like I wanted to get her back. And the team from Colorado called and said, we're looking for a female coach. And I was really hoping that we'd be able to keep her in Lynchburg. I said, well, Rose my cap, and I don't want to lose her, but she'd make you an awesome job. And we lost her. She moved away. So, many stories, but Carrie, this is well deserved. Many years of hard work, faithful, good leader. Congratulations.
So I'll continue the trend with the phone notes here. So thanks, Coach, for the intro. Before I get started, though, I'd like to congratulate the other two inductees who are honored here as well today. It's definitely an honor to be recognized alongside a couple of other great athletes who have left their mark at Liberty as well. You know, as I reflect back on my time at Liberty, and specifically with Liberty women's hockey, I realized that this recognition is not only like a personal achievement for me, but it's also like a testament of the support and dedication of many other people, some of which are in this room today. You know, from coaches to former teammates to our athletic trainers, strength and conditioning coaches. All those people played a big part in not only my success but also the team's success over the last few years. So I have a few people specifically that I would like to acknowledge today. First of all, Coach Bloomfield. It's truly an honor playing under him for 5 years there. He built the program from the ground up and made a lot of personal sacrifice on his own dime throughout some of the years to make sure that we all had what we needed to be as successful as possible. And I'd also like to give a thanks to Coach Justin Ford. Justin and I had a good player-coach relationship. He had a way of pushing me and trying to. We related a lot to each other, so he was able to push me in ways that maybe other people couldn't. To get me to be my best, or at least try to be my best every day, both on and off the ice. So I definitely looked up to him a lot as a role model and a mentor to me, which I'm lucky enough it's transitioned into more of a friendship since post-playing career. And lastly, I'd like to thank my mom and dad who are also here today, because I know they've made countless sacrifices over the years to give me all the opportunities possible to make my hockey career as successful as it could be. And whether that was driving me all around Alberta or spending extra money on off-ice, off-season trainers in the summer, that kind of stuff. My dad and I used to go out, and have one-on-one ice time before I'd come back to school beginning of the year. So just all that stuff, it all adds up in a big way. So kind of in conclusion, I'm definitely proud to stand here as a representative of the sport of hockey specifically, and I'm really honored to have played a role in the growth and development of the women's hockey program here at Liberty. So thank you all once again for coming. It's a great honor. Thank you.
I have to write my speech out because I can't see my phone. Let me make sure I have the right pages in order. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kimmy Counts, and I was one of Elizabeth's coaches during her senior year on the equestrian team here at Liberty. Our head coach, Suzanne Flagg, could not be here to attend today's celebrations, but she wanted me to reiterate to you, Liz, just how proud she is. We both have many fond memories revolving around the bus rides, the wild bus rides, where you would lead team dance parties, times when you would ask us to stop for ice cream after every single road show, and trips when you'd always ask if the hotel had a pool. Some fun travel times with you, Liz. I began coaching at Liberty in 2016 during Liz's final year on the team, and she was one of the first people I met at the Equestrian Center, and is someone I will always remember as being a huge part of making me feel welcome. During my first few days at the center, Liz was extremely helpful in showing me around the Equestrian Center and assisting in making my transition to Liberty as smooth and easy as possible. Prior to my arrival at Liberty, Liz played a huge role in establishing the equestrian team as a legitimate program and was instrumental in assisting with building both the center itself and the team to what they are today. We would not be as competitive as we are now if it had not been for her, and we are so grateful for all of the time she put in. I've heard many stories of the late nights she spent at the barn, either helping make sure all of the horses were well taken care of, or helping her teammates with a variety of things. She never hesitated to drop whatever she was doing to assist a fellow team member, or to stop and listen when someone needed to talk. Even though I only coached Liz for 1 year, that year will always stand out as being one of the most memorable for me for many different reasons. Through the ups and downs during the 2016-2017 season, Liz remained competitive, determined, and grounded. She was a constant advocate for her teammates and did not hesitate to stop at everything she was doing and help her peers. No matter what level a rider qualified for, Liz was sure to make them feel welcome, included, and prepared for any practice or show. As one of the team captains, Liz put in many, many hours working to find clothing and gear to ensure her teammates and her horses had the best possible equipment and represented Liberty well, and could always find a really good deal on whatever we needed. Liz was always one of the first riders to show up to practice and the last to leave, and was an exemplary role model for her peers, and always demonstrated what it meant to work hard to achieve your goals. During the 2016-17 season, thanks to Liz's strong leadership and riding abilities, the equestrian team secured High Point team honors for Zone 4 Region 4, which had not been done before. The team went on to compete at Zone 4 finals for the first time in team history, and we also sent Liz on to ride at IHSA Nationals. In addition to being the first rider from Liberty to ever compete at Nationals, Liz was also the first rider to place in the top 10 riders in the most prestigious class in the nation. She capped off her amazing career at Liberty by finishing 10th in an extremely competitive class at the National Horse Show, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of making history for Liberty and the equestrian team. Liz has continued to make an impact on the program even after her graduation, and thanks to Liz and her family, we have been blessed with an amazing string of horses that have enabled our riders to grow in their riding skills and practice on a variety of well-schooled and educated animals. We are forever grateful for the impact that the Chanel family has made on Liberty's equestrian program. It's an honor to have a rider being inducted into the Club Sports Hall of Fame for the first time, and we are so proud of Liz's accomplishments both at Liberty and on her own. We can't think of a more deserving rider for this award, and we are so proud of you, Liz. Congrats on all of your success, and we can't wait to see what God has in store for you.
I feel like that was very generous. I just want to start out by thanking everybody that had anything to do with this event. It's beautiful. You guys did a great job. This does not want to stay here for me. Maybe I need my phone. But yeah, Kayla, thank you so much. Zach, not Zach. You're Zach. Ben, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you so much for everything that you guys did. It was so smooth and so easy. You made it seem like it was the best thing ever. But I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit of how I got to Liberty and on the equestrian team, because that's kind of what started me riding again, because I rode a lot when I was younger. My family owns a horse farm in Connecticut, and my sisters were always very competitive and rode all throughout all of their years. They got full ride scholarships to Texas A&M, so I was kind of the kid that didn't ride, was kind of how I was known. But in 2012, I came to Liberty, and I stayed for a semester, and then I ended up going home for the spring semester. And I was kind of trying to figure out if I wanted to go back to Liberty and see if that was what God had for me. And one day I was sitting there and I was like, I really should go on their website just to see. And the headline was Liberty starts an equestrian team, which was always something that I really wanted to do in college. So I knew that that's exactly where God wanted me. So initially they were not planning on having people outside of their boarding facility there to be on the team, which I did not have a horse that was going to Liberty. And then they did end up opening it up to everybody. So I tried out on this cute little horse named Vicar, which was a Western horse, and I read English. And I remember getting off, and the coach said to me, she's like, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You just taught her how to jump." which was not really what we do normally in a tryout, but I was like, oh great, she was so good. But all that being said, we went through a lot of transition all the time that I was there. And I really want to thank all of the higher ups for hearing us out on that. I know Kirk, I had a few meetings with you and I apologize for any annoyance that it was, but we really, really appreciate you guys hearing us out, and I could not be more proud of where it is today. And the indoor, like when I said an indoor, I thought maybe on the small scale, they have the biggest one now in Virginia, so it's a little bit different. But yes. Lauren Eagles can't be here today. She was one of the Western coaches while I was there, and she was huge for me while I was on the team. She was so helpful. I ended up breaking my back on a horse my junior year, and she had just started, but she was a really big advocate for me with the coaches at the time. You know, I wasn't super comfortable with everything that was going on, and she was there for me the whole way through, and I can never thank her enough. I sent her a text the other day and she's like, I wish I could be there with you guys, but I can't. And then the year after Lauren was there, Kimmy came, and Suzanne came shortly after that. And I really cannot say enough good things about the two of them. Just the fact that we've donated 8 horses to them over the years says a lot, because I don't give my horses to just anybody. They're very special to me, and I know that they'll be well taken care of there. But yeah, I'm so thankful for all of that. I wanted to thank all the study hall attendants while I was there. Yeah, I did have to participate in that a little bit, because that semester I was online, it was not so successful. But you guys were very understanding, and I hate having to do anything, so thank you for that. I see some of you guys, I wasn't sure if you were still here, but I want to give you a shout out. But yeah, no, Liberty was always very generous to our team. I feel so bad that you guys didn't have it so well with money-wise, because they were always very generous to us. Which I don't know why, but...
It got better.
Yeah, got better.
Yeah, okay, happy to hear that. Because we got like rich. I came in, I hadn't been riding in years. My parents were like, we're absolutely not buying you. I don't know if anybody knows how much horse clothing costs, but it is not cheap. And they're like, we're not buying this for you. Like, it's way too expensive. So my sister gave me an old pair of tall boots that her school had given her, and I was like, well, here we go. Hopefully this will do. The zipper broke, and I have great memories of people trying to tape me up in them at one of the horse shows. But no, overall, they were so generous. And they actually bought a lot of team clothing for a lot of the girls on the team that used them over the years. But I just wanted to say, Cass, who also couldn't be here, she was my co-captain at the time, and she was so wonderful. She was the person that did everything behind the scenes, and I didn't even have to think about anything else. I could just sit there and work with the girls more so than a lot of the other stuff, but she was so organized and made sure that everything got done that we wouldn't have even thought about. And then Zoe, who did come today, thank you so much for coming. She was a co-captain my senior year, and she was just the perfect addition to our team, and you know, always there for all the girls, and she would drop anything for anybody as well. And I do just want to say quickly, like, Lori, who was the coach when I first started, she was very wonderful to me always throughout the years. And Caroline was very generous to the team as well. And Jim, he brought a lot to the program as well. He got us into a region where we could be more competitive, which I was always very thankful for. But a big thank you to my parents, because they are the reason that I ride at all, and they've given me so many opportunities over the years to be able to do that. And now I have my wonderful horses at home, and I work for them, which is always fun. And but yeah, I'm just so thankful with where the program is now, and I couldn't be more proud of the people that are there, and so thankful for Suzanne and Kimmy and all that they bring to the table.
awesome afternoon celebrating these three individuals. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Angie Witt, and I actually serve on the committee, the Hall of Fame committee, since the beginning of it. I'm one of the athletic directors here and the director of sports medicine. So I do remember some of those stories very well. I do have a few closing remarks that I did write out on my phone. So, as someone who's been with club sports for a while now, since 11 years, and I'm on the Hall of Fame committee, and I weigh in a lot of these decisions. I think we made some pretty good choices today. And I have some memories of these individuals as well. I believe my fondest memory of Carrie, and we've already talked about this a little bit today, freshman hockey player during the national championship, literally puking her guts out from the stomach flu. And the only thing we could do was just pump her full of meds and water and say, suck it up, girl, it's time to go. And she did. And she ended up scoring the goal in overtime to put us in the national championship game for the very first time. So that that there shows the heart of a champion. I knew then she was going to be a champion. For Elizabeth, I guess they call you Liz, I guess, whatever. I do remember her breaking her back and sitting in my office and going through all the things that she was going to need to endure in order to get back on the horse, and she did that. And that shows the heart of a champion, right? And then Zach, didn't get to see you play, but I've heard all the stories. Well, not all, some of them, the good ones, of course. And Zach was just a huge part of just the beginning of club sports. And for that, we thank you for your contributions. And as a contributor to club sports, we view you as a champion. And as you can see, there's a little bit of a theme here. And the vision that Jerry Falwell gave to Liberty University, Champions for Christ. And I think that you've all proven that. So not only are you Champions for Christ, now today, you're Hall of Fame members. And so we congratulate you on that. We thank you for that. And you are always welcome back at Liberty University Club Sports to be a part of what we're doing, because we believe that we are continuing to train those Champions for Christ. So congratulations. And now I'll call on Jeff to close us in prayer.
I think I need my phone for this, so let's bow and pray. Father, thank you for Liz, Carrie, and Zach. I thank you for their hearts, for their efforts when they were here, their efforts now where they're at. Lord, I pray that your mighty hand of blessing would be upon them, that you'd guide them, give your wisdom and discretion and understanding to them. Fill them with your spirit, that they might be people of God who are successful in all that they do in a way that glorifies and honors you. We pray that blessing right now. We thank you for the opportunity to honor them, their coaches, teammates, everybody that's contributed, so that they could have that opportunity here. Their parents, Lord, I ask for a special blessing on them too, each one. Thank you for who they are. We commit our day to you, we commit the next steps to you, and we thank you for just a wonderful time to celebrate what you've accomplished through these individuals. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. As we dismiss, there's a place for pictures, so just please make sure you gather, whether it's for the athletes specifically, but also with your parents and presenters as well. So thank you.